And Major Garrett is with us in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, where Donald Trump will be campaigning tonight. Major, I want to begin by asking you again about these reports between a Trump organization computer and a Russian bank, some type of connection there. And the New York Times is reporting, however, that the FBI never found direct links between the candidate and the Russian government. What are the takeaways here?
Well, Josh, let me get to that in just a second. I do want to let those people watching know who these folks are over my left shoulder. They are hardy Trump supporters. 3 of them, Josh, arrived outside this arena here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, 14 hours ahead of time for tonight's Donald Trump rally. That's just an indication of the level of commitment some Trump supporters have to this particular presidential campaign. Now, on to the New York Times story. It goes into some detail about a summers-long investigation by FBI agents trying to determine if there were direct linkages between Donald Trump, those in his political inner circle, or those within his business entities, and the Russian government, Russian oligarchs, or any other kind of Russians who might have, let us say, nefarious intentions when it comes to the United States political process. According to the FBI, in this New York Times story, they found no direct linkages, nothing that created any great suspicion about Russians trying to overtly influence Donald Trump or those in his political circle, or any particularly untoward involvements between Trump-owned businesses or business entities and Russian oligarchs or anyone within the Russian government itself. What it did find, the FBI did, is a relationship electronically between some computers in the Trump organization and Alfa Bank, which is a well-known, heavily capitalized, and oligarch-friendly bank in Russia. But the FBI concluded that those could be either marketing or spam emails back and forth. They didn't really find anything that would rise to the level of direct either business or other kind of connections between the Trump world and Russia. All this is in the New York Times today. It goes into great detail. Democrats, of course, have been saying, hey, wait a minute, we ought to look more carefully at all this and raise questions about what Trump is or isn't doing with the Russians. Why does he have such an open door policy with Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, et cetera, et cetera. Well, according to this New York Times story, the FBI did look into all of this during the summer months and concluded there was nothing in particular that warranted either criminal investigation or anything that raised particular alarms about Russia's involvement with Trump. What the FBI did conclude, according to the New York Times, Josh, is that Russia's real intent was to disrupt the American political process, undermining American confidence in its own democratic process, and thereby reducing its leverage, visibility, and clout in the world.
And as we then see both campaigns, both candidates angrily point fingers across the aisle, those folks behind you seem to have arrived for the final arguments portion of this election cycle. Is there any precedent for what we're going to see these final 7 days?
It really feels like a all-out effort on both campaigns to, if at all possible, disqualify the opposition in every conceivable way. And there is an argumentation that comes from the Trump campaign, hey, we're talking about the issues, we're engaging people in how we intend to change Washington. And that is, to be fair, a not insignificant part of the Donald Trump stump speech. But in the main, the conversation being driven by both campaigns in their TV ads, in their digital ads, and in the most important parts of their stump speeches is, my opponent is disqualified, cannot possibly be elected president of the United States, and if that person is elected, all sorts of dreadful things will befall the United States. So someone is going to win this election, Josh, but coming out of this process, that victor, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, will have at least half of the country or a certain percentage of half of that country wondering whether or not they are disqualified from the very beginning, and if their presidency will bring ruin to the country, because that's exactly what both campaigns are saying about one another.
And the numbers suggest governing a deeply dissatisfied electorate. Major Garrett there in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. As always, we appreciate the time.